Hello. In the last video, I talked about coups in West Africa. Why not in East Africa? I talked about Uganda. We have had a president who has been there for 37 years. And by the way, he has experience. He knows everything from economy, politics, everything. He has understudied colonialism, new colonialism. He has understudied why Africa is not developed. He has understudied politics. In 1986, he said, this is not a mere change of guards. And by the way, he did a lot in terms of improving the economy. I must tell you, Uganda is the only army which is highly professional. We have had over 9 army commanders in Uganda change, and there is no coup. But before you change a soldier who is army commander, you are finished. With time, the Cold War has given a big lesson. Now Uganda doesn't rely on the West. Unfortunately, we are going closer to the East. But I trust the wisdom of the president, because gone are the days when Africa was exploited. I think in Uganda there will be change. There's never been transition from one president to another since 1986. By the way, Uganda got its independence in 1962, October 9th. From that time, we have never had a peaceful transition. State making in Uganda has been the art of war, meaning therefore every president who comes must use the gun. And there's never been peace in Uganda, but for the first time, the entire country is calm for the past 10 or so years. We have had one president for 37 years, and we have never had wars. People go and sleep. You can move from the city, Kampala, you drive at night up to Gulu in northern Uganda via eastern Uganda, and nothing like robbery. The army you can slap and they turn the other side. Unfortunately, I'm a victim of police brutality. As I speak, I developed a neurological disease since I was tortured in the spine. I had many surgeries. As I speak, I've got speech therapists and a general therapist. I'm trying to learn to speak, but I think it's important that we discuss Africa. In Uganda, the president was quite vigilant. We have had opposition for the past 37 years, but we have a fake opposition. Why? Because they claim that election has always been rigged, but unfortunately they participate in the so-called rigged elections. Besides, each party which is in parliament gets billions of shillings from government by law. Before, FDC was the leader of opposition. They were getting over 3 billion shillings from government. They were overtaken by no National Unity Platform, a new political party headed by Honorable Bob Wine, a former musician, Karen, heaven knows, but held out. So we have had opposition that has been giving Ugandans a raw deal. They have been rubber stamping the stay of the president in power. Thank God the president has been watching them, has been working with many of them. He knows them. They are corrupt and incorruptible. And I believe that we can do better. Uganda loses more than 500 billion shillings yearly. That's about 300 million US dollars on corruption. Corruption has become an institution. The opposition and mafias in government do not want the president to leave power because parliament opposition has become their position in most African states. So in Uganda, you wonder why we have had a president for 37 years. To me, I believe my opinion is that being a patriot, he didn't want to leave Uganda to these thieves and thugs. I think democracy has failed. Look, there's a demonstration every day in Kenya. There's a lot of havoc on opposition. We have seen 23 dead in Luoland and hundreds others across Kenya because it's high cost of living and poor economic and political management. But that is not in Uganda because the president has understudied the economy, has understudied why Gaddafi failed, why Mugabe failed, and why most African countries fail. He knows why there is a lot of coups in West Africa. To me, I think the way forward for Uganda and many African countries is we need to have national conversations. That is, we should be able to call upon Ugandans, call upon Kenyans, call upon any eminent persons in these countries so that we have national conversations, so that we develop a new form of governance related to what our grandfathers used to do, the Bachwezi, the Luo, the Bagisu, and all the Igbo in Nigeria, and the Kikuyus in Kenya, the Luos and so on. They had a very strong strategy of governance, and there was no collapse. There was a very strong trans-Saharan trade that made Africans so powerful. Remember, the richest man in the world was Mansa Musa, then the king. Civilization started from Africa. You know the pyramids in Egypt, who can build them? We have very many Africans. Statistically, Africa has over 35% of our natural resources in the world. Besides, we are over 1.3 billion, close to India. 1.2, close to India. Yet, we are being forced to have family planning. Thank God, President Museveni has pushed that we should not have such. We should continue producing as we can. Friends, this must affect all African countries. If we had fight colonialism and neo-colonialism, communism, there's too much dictatorship. Democracy is not working. Look at Kenya and many countries. Even in here, where there was coup, it was because of failed democracy. So to me, in my opinion, I believe that we can have change in this country so that we can have United States of Africa. We cannot have them when we are divided in many countries, when we have no remorse for the people. So to me, I see in Uganda, we'll have a very good change after President Museveni. He has monitored Ugandans. Thank God he has been grooming his son, General Mosi. He has been growing in the state's house. He understands what state management means. And the president once said, I'm lenient with corruption. Mohozi will fight corruption. To me, I think the coming in of DP, FDC, NUP, and all Ugandans must sit down and have a national conversation so that we dissolve or devolve our powers to the people. The Constitution is very clear that power belongs to the people. Therefore, to me, I think it's important to have a national conversation and come with a government that is transitional, so that in 5 years or 10, we come with a strong governance system. By coming together, Ugandans, Kenyans, Nigerians coming together will discuss the form of governance that Africa deserves, so that in future we unite Africans. We have United States of Africa with one president, with one currency. It can only be achieved when we open our minds. Thank you, and please remember to share, subscribe, and we move on. Africans say as I conclude, until the lion learns to tell its stories, the hunters will always take the credit. Let's learn to tell our story, which were misrepresented by CNN and the entire world. Thank you. God bless.